Hello magical souls, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new here, my name is Lydia and I am the Witch of Multi-Realms. In an earlier episode, I spoke about how our higher selves are trying to communicate with us all the time. And you might have heard me mention something such as, watch out for the signs and synchronicities. Or maybe you might have heard some friends talk about, hey, I just saw repeating numbers a lot recently, like I'm seeing 111, 1111. Some people might say, oh, I'm seeing 444 a lot. Actually, when I talk about 444, in Chinese context, okay, as an Asian, as Chinese and Singaporean, 4 being associated with the word death or dead in Chinese, the Chinese word. It might not be some Chinese people's favorite thing to be seeing 444, but anyways, this is just a very funny thing that I just remembered. But 444 has its own meaning in spirituality, which I will maybe explain in a while. Anyway, so people see repeating numbers and then they mention it to you. What does it mean? Something's telling me something. Or you might have felt a sense of deja vu. That in itself is also a kind of sign that your spiritual team is sending you. So today I'm going to explain what are all these things, why are they coming in this kind of a strange format, like communication from your spiritual team in this format, and why so, how so, and how you spot them, okay? Your spiritual team is always trying to communicate with you. So your spiritual team can consist of your higher self, your ancestors, your angels, if you believe in angels, any guides that have already been assigned to you before your reincarnation, so assigned to your soul, okay? These are your spiritual team. And they are always trying to communicate with you simply because they're trying to get you to follow your life path, follow your blueprint. Yes, you have free will. You always can make choices, but it is also their wish to help you be as purposeful as possible. More often than not, we sidetrack. And I've spoken about sidetracking earlier. Not a problem. Sidetracking is simply a way to learn. But on top of that, sometimes the sidetrack can cause more sidetracks, thereby you get real far from the actual path. And your team is always trying to be there to guide. That's why they're called guides, to guide you. Okay, so if they're always talking to you, how is it that you might not know? Because we are distracted. Life distracts us. The moment you are born here, the moment you are even aware that you have to get on with life, which explains children younger than the age of 3 usually are still very in tune with their spiritual team. But of course, when you're younger than 3, your ability to fully communicate what you're seeing and hearing to your family is not completely maximized, right? You just start learning how to speak, make sentences, explain what you see and hear. At the toddler age, at anywhere younger than 3, most of it, it's still not as cohesive as you want it to be to say out. So whatever a child around the age of 2.5 and below, or 3 and below, usually whatever they perceive, whatever they see, they kept it within, they keep it within. And like I said, they cannot explain it. They cannot like go ahead and say, Mom, I think I just saw my angel and my angel looks like so. My guide looks like so. No, they can't, right? Okay, so as a person gets older and older though, for 4 years old, preschool perhaps, and then 5, 6, and then 7 years old, go into primary school, and then there's school. Once you have school, you have everything to learn, and then you have life, literally, to get on with. So when we go into that zone of getting on with life, that is when we start to dull our psychic senses, and we start to heighten our real world senses, which is the actual surroundings, what we do, what we perceive from what we see. Then, that becomes in itself a chemistry in our body that message gets transmitted into intent and action in this world. So the entirety of our psychic ability gets pushed to the back. It becomes something dormant. And that is also something I talked about in one of the earlier episodes. So even if there are signs by any of our guides, we are less likely to pick it up. Even though they put it out there for us, we might not have seen it, we might not have heard it or picked it up. But guess what? When you enter a phase of your life where you felt heavily challenged by something, which can trigger the start of your spiritual awakening journey, that is when you suddenly shift your perspective of life, and you start to see things through a different, so I'm using metaphorically, of course, this is not figuratively. You start to see things through a different lens, a lens of introspection perhaps, or a lens of regret, a lens of guilt, a lens of consciousness, anything of that sort. When you see things through a different lens and not just visualizing reality for what it is, you acquire the ability to catch on the signs that's been thrown out there for you by your guides. And that is how you start to notice the synchronicities. I'll give an example. There's this term called angel numbers. It's what I mentioned earlier just now. It could be repeating numbers of 111, 222, 333, so on and so forth. Sometimes not necessarily the same number repeated 3 or 4 times. It could even be a little bit more special, like a 1212 or a 717, which is what I've been seeing a lot recently. It could be 144, and that could in itself mean something else if you research that. What I'm trying to say is, these numbers given to you, shown to you by your guides, could mean different things. Now, I'm not going to go into details exactly what 111 means or 333 means. I understand there's a lot of material out there on the internet and YouTube telling you what these numbers means. Okay? I might one day make a video talking about all these numbers, but today's not the day. I don't want to go into that. I just want you to know, if you're seeing repeat numbers, you're starting to notice it. Firstly, yes, it's from your guides telling you something. Secondly, why you're starting to notice it now, it's not because only now then they are giving it to you, but it's because you are perceiving it through a different lens. You're perceiving the world through a different lens, occasionally. Back then, you were not perceiving the world through a lens. You were just perceiving the world, as plain as it gets. But because of something in your life is changing, something is shifting, or you have come to this point of your life journey where you have an awakening coming your way, it's almost like you are in that zone now where you have put on this filter or lens, and things that were hidden from you, from your plain sight, is now showing. Okay, and that is the general idea of why signs and synchronicities are showing up for you, or you're noticing them. Now, the other type could be symbols. So sometimes numbers doesn't quite work for some people. Excuse me. Maybe your guides have noticed that you are not a person who care enough to look at because again, numbers shows up when you look at time. Number shows up when you, let's say, you work in accounting line. It's something to do with numbers, okay? And then you just happen to be going through numbers a lot, then it would be really uncanny if you kept seeing 333 show up for you, like $3.33 or $33.30 or $333, things like that. You'd be like, something's weird. Why am I seeing this so much? Fine. If you work with numbers, you get that. But let's say you don't work with numbers. You don't even care to look at the time enough to notice, okay? Then maybe your guides will show you signs through symbols. Perhaps some people, they have a thing for rainbows. And you can be having a really bad day, and then maybe you're having a thought in your mind like, is there a way out of this situation? Like you're really like asking the divine or asking the above, whoever you're asking, is there a way this will get any better? And then suddenly you see a rainbow in the sky or double rainbows, like a sign of confirmation, yes, it's gonna get better. Or you can be flipping a book as usual, flipping a book, a children's book or a magazine, whatever, and then some kind of rainbow imagery appears. That sort of stuff. They might come in the form of more like a symbol or an image rather than numbers. For some people, it's animals. I had a time, I still have, of course, I have a time where when things don't go well for me, I just resolute myself to, okay, so it happens this way. So I'll relate my experience here in a sense to talk about this animals thing. I was young. I remember when I have a really bad day, could be anything that makes it bad, including having to go through an extra long session of maths class with my teacher. I hate maths. So anyways, I will tell myself, okay, if I see a kingfisher, it's gonna be a good day. No matter how wretched things have been in the earlier part of the day, if I see a kingfisher now, it's gonna be a good day. And I would see kingfishers. Like, it's so weird. Okay, so in Singapore, we do have kingfishers, but they are not like all over the place. You gotta be a little lucky to spot a kingfisher. Yeah, they're not like crows and sparrows and miners all over the place. No, you might be able to spot a kingfisher if you're lucky. So I felt, okay, I'll use a kingfisher as a sign from above that it's a good day. I should be happy, I should have gratitude, I should not let whatever affects me take me down. And I would really sometimes see kingfishers, and it can be so random. I could be sitting in a bus, the bus passed by a certain stretch of like wildlands, like forest, and then so randomly amidst the green, random, chaotic jungle, I would see one blue color, predominantly blue color, kingfisher standing on a branch. And that is how I know my guides are with me and sending me a "you're okay, child" kind of message. So if you feel that you might have had similar experiences spotting animals, that can be your way of receiving signs and synchronicities from your guides. And again, this is depending if you feel the affinity, you know, or like myself, I have given that message to my guides and say, show me the kingfisher, and I know it's going to be from you. So if you have communicated that before, then all the more you should know that's from them. Now, deja vu. Deja vu is a way of understanding that your guides are talking to you. I will not go into the science of how deja vu occur in our subconscious and human psyche, okay? But it has a lot to do with parcels of information coming back from a place that you are physically in this life not able to be at. Some people might say this comes from past life. Some people might say that this comes from future self and future life. So I don't want to confuse anybody here, but what I'm trying to say is when you have deja vu, it is also your guides trying to align you with an understanding that you should not be afraid of what you're experiencing now, or what you might be experiencing soon. It's a form of assurance of familiarity to tell you that this thing you're perceiving now is a sense of familiarity, like, oh, I've been there, right? That's what deja vu is like. You suddenly are doing something, or you are somewhere doing something, and suddenly it hits you like, I've done this before. It feels strange. I've been here before. I've done this before. Like, okay, that's weird, right? That's usually what deja vu feels like. It's a way to sort of trigger your sense of familiarity, trigger your, a little bit like reminding you, hey, remember this? It may not be useful. You may be like, yeah, okay, so what does it do for me? It may not be useful now, trust me. But keep it in the back of your mind. It's okay. Just know that they're talking to you. One day down the road, you get wiser, you know, and then it might come back to you. So there's no straight and fast answer. There's no hard and fast answer for you now as to what that deja vu is for you as of this moment. Because I myself have experienced a lot of it, and I experienced deja vu when I was like 12, which only became useful, information that's useful, when I'm 40, right? So no promise to you what your deja vu is for, but I'll tell you it's from them. Now, again, uncanny coincidences. This is a strange one. Like, for example, if you okay, so uncanny coincidences, it could be something like this. Say you just met someone new, you're gone on a first date, and that person might not be the best intentioned character, but of course it's not showing, first date, the person make themselves out to be so wonderful, but there is just a little bit of telltale signs or red flags, but you cannot see. You are smitten, you are charmed, you are biased to, like you like that person from the get-go and you just want to see more of that person. And so your own radar is off, and your team wants to warn you. Your spiritual team wants to warn you. Your spiritual team is trying to get you to not meet that person again, because they can tell that in your path, if you go too far and too deep with that person, it would really throw you off your main purposeful path, okay? You're not meant to go into a karmic situation with that fella, okay? So you can't tell, and you set up the next date with that person. And then suddenly there was a situation whereby, much as you did not want to, you have to cancel. Like, for example, you felt very sick. There's no point for you to even meet that person, because if you are supposed to meet that person on a date for a dinner, you can't eat, you'll be sick, so might as well not. So unfortunately, you have to cancel on the person, and then you feel so bad. You're like, okay, you know what? Let's reschedule this to next week when I'm better, and I'll buy you dinner. Let's say you feel so bad, you say that, and the person is like, yeah, sure. And then the following week come, that person cancels on you or postpone on you. Say, take a rain check because that person last minute has to be flown out of town to like work emergency or situation like that. And then you're like, oh, okay. Now it's your turn to cancel on me. I thought I cancel on you. That's not my fault because I was sick, but now you cancel on me. Then maybe you might really think, is this person trying to play games with me? I don't know. Still, you want to give that person a chance. Then 2 weeks later, you text that person, let's say, hey, how you going? How you doing? Shall we finally do that date? And then let's say that person really does like to play games, okay? And choose to maybe ghost your text over the span of 1 day, which makes you insecure, maybe, or like suspicious. And then finally, when the person texts back, or maybe the person simply did not see your text, okay? Let's not say that they play games. And then when they text back, you're like unhappy about it because you feel like the person's trying to play a game with you. And then this really distances you from that person. Okay, Some people might simply perceive this entire thing that I just said as, oh, it's a misunderstanding. You got to give that person a chance. Fine, you can. I'm not saying that everybody has like this third person perspective, but if you were to see it from another perspective, it could be, is the universe trying to give me a sign to not meet this person eventually, or like simply stop trying to meet the person because it just never seemed to work out. I tried, he tried, I tried again, still not working out. If you choose to understand that it's a sign from the universe, you might consider this like a coincidence. There is a sign. Or you can still consider this as, oh, maybe it's just miscommunication. And then you can keep trying. But I'll put it this way. If the not working out, the whole second date thing is not working out even after 5 tries of bouncing back and forth, I really think you need to see how this can be a sign. So yes, this was a long one to explain, but I think you get the idea what I mean by uncanny coincidences. Like, it's just so coincidental that every time we want to meet, it can never happen. Something's trying to stop us from meeting. If you perceive it, then, more often than not, your gut instinct is called gut instinct for a reason, because it comes from within, it comes from your core and your soul and yourself. It's something unseen, but yeah, it's from inside. If your gut instinct tells you, it's kind of weird, why is it that I try to set this thing up over 5 rounds and it's still not happening? Perhaps something's trying to tell you not to. Okay, I might have gone a little bit too long on this one, but anyways, I just want to say that signs and synchronicities are always there for us. Our guides and our team, our spiritual team, is always trying to communicate with us. We have help, we have support. You are not seeing them maybe if you don't choose to see them or choose to ignore them when you see them. But honestly, if you want to see them and you send that intention out and say, okay, whatever it is that I'm supposed to know or see, send it my way. I will do my best to understand and take the advice. And you might start to go into a zone where you catch on the synchronicities a little bit better, understand what they are as well. Now, the understanding is a part that is like I consider that like a rapport building with your team. I want to talk about this one day. Building a rapport with your team, understanding what that thing they are sending you is totally about is very important, of course. We do not want like messages that are unclear. I know that in spirituality and exercising one's psychic ability to perceive messages from spirit can be sometimes very confusing. It's confusing more than clarifying. That can happen, but that's because if you do not have like a Morse code system with your spiritual team, that is of course confusing. So rapport building is very important, and I shall talk about that one day down the road. So this is all. I hope this has been helpful for you to learn more about communicating with your spiritual team and the signs and synchronicities that you might have seen. If you're interested to find out more, if you want to talk about them, please feel free to share with me in the comment section, and let's talk about it. So till the next time, take care and goodbye.